Forever Bristol City podcast. It wasn't to be a happy ending for City up at the City Ground last night against Nottingham Forest, because it finished after extra time. Forest won, City won, then it went to the dreaded penalty shootout, which we lost by 5-3. Now, before we say anything else on this episode, neither Ian, Mark or myself were at the game and have only seen limited highlights. So whatever we say is given against that background for those that say, how can you comment on a match that you didn't see? But by all accounts, it was a good, spirited display from City. Ian, just give me 30 seconds on what your immediate thoughts were before we delve into some of the action.
My immediate thoughts is we went a goal down early on, and it was quite a debatable one. It looked like handball to me on the highlights I've seen. And we came back well. Andy King, who was perhaps a surprise inclusion, played a major part in the goal. Our problem all season, in fact, it's been a problem for probably the last 2 seasons, is sticking the ball in the net. And that's how it proved last night, because we had enough chances in the last period of extra time to win the game 3-1. And we didn't. And my abiding memory for the game will be the Sam Bell last-ditch tackle. That's a kid that cares. And then seeing the poor lad in tears after the game. But head up, mate, and on to the next game.
Mark, your thoughts?
Painful at the end, going out on penalties. But it's the same thing, what we can take away from a City performance that ticks so many boxes: spirit, energy, commitment, lots of chances created, took a Premier League team to the limit, but will be forever thinking about a missed opportunity because of simple chances simply weren't packed in the back of the net. And that stimulated our progression in the FA Cup. It's also stopping our progression in the league. There's some good foundations to build on. And I too thought Andy King coming in was outstanding, was really dominant in midfield for 60 minutes. And that's all you're going to get out of him after so many months out. Joe Williams, again, a revelation with his tackling and the pass in extra time for Sam Bell. Wonderful. And Sam Bell, you know, that last ditch tackle, it was great to listen to it on the radio, where radio paints pictures and the excitement of the commentators grips us all. You're wondering what's going on, but it's just so painful, David, when we come away, when we should have won the game, we should have beaten Forest. And we've really got to take the good points of last night's game and go into Saturday's game and just go there and win it. We're capable of winning it. We can take 3 points. Let's go and win that game, and let's go and move up the division. We've got some good players to come in. We've got injured players coming back. Let's make the rest of the season something to be proud of.
That's it. I mean, perhaps I was a bit harsh saying season over at 9:45. Last night it was actually 10:30, I think, by the time everything had been done for. But you know, you can't take it away from City. It was a good performance. They've more than matched they beat 1, and over the 2 games, you could argue they deserve to beat Forest as well. And yeah, I'll be honest, I think Leeds are probably better than both of those 2 Premier sides, because for me, you know, I want to see that level of commitment put in, week out, between now and the end of the season. You know, and going back to that Leeds game, you know, they were good, but we didn't compete in that. And my fear for Saturday is, although Ian will quite rightly chastise me for saying this, because there are players to come in, we don't want to hear anything about tiredness. But I think it's going to be a factor, whoever comes in. But there we go. Ian, makeshift side, there were some forced changes because of suspension and changing the formation again. When you saw how it lined up, it sort of semi-predictable, wasn't it? Or were there a couple of changes that you might have thought different to what Liam started with?
I think Andy King starting the game was probably one out of left field. The other changes, I mean, the great thing about it, and why I tweeted this week that I'll scream if I hear anybody talking about fatigue and tiredness, because we've got 3 players fresh that we can bring in. We've got Campring, we've got Mabuda, we've got Taylor Gardner-Hickman we can bring in. We've got 3 players who played limited minutes last night. So you've got the likes of George Tanner, Tommy Conway. So no, I don't want to hear any excuse.
Knight as well, Ian. And Knight only
And
played.
Knight who played exactly right. So that's 2/3 of the team almost. So let's not have people moaning and groaning about tiredness and minutes and legs and stuff like that. And pretty soon, not Saturday, we'll have a much stronger bench. And it's great that everyone, basically, apart from Eamon, will be playing games for the under-21s. Some will play two because we've got two games. We've got one Saturday, and hence why they can't be on the bench at Borough. And we've got one on Tuesday. That's against QPR and Cardiff, respectively. So they'll all be playing. So and they'll be spending some time doing it. Now, you have to hope they come through that and everything's okay. But with the medical team, they must be confident to say, well, yeah, let's press the button. So it's only Eamon now that is going to need more minutes before he starts playing for the under-21s, in which after two ACLs. So, yeah, I mean, there were no, well, I suppose one slight tactical, I wouldn't call it a surprise, but it was different. We went to a flat back four again. And I think looking at the players that we've got available, 4-2-3-1 or something like 4-1-3-2 is the way forward, because we've now got some quite good or some very good attacking players with pace, and we need to utilize that. But we need someone to give them the ball in the key areas, which is what we haven't had. So, hopefully, if all the lads go through the under-21s and come back, we'll be seeing new faces against Southampton and even more against QPR. And squad depth at this level, or I'll say in the Championship, is exceptionally important, and it's something we haven't had all season under whichever manager.
Yeah. Okay, Mark, it was good to see Jamie Knight-LaBelle get on, because, come on after 83 minutes, you probably thought maybe he'd see the game out, but he had the extra time piece to contend with, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's normally a centre back, but he to play in a right wing back role, and I think he did very well. From what I heard, great for him to get minutes in a game like that against Premier League opposition. And going back to the lineup, I thought back four made us more compact. So you perm George Tanner for Ross McCrory, and if we go moving forward, I suppose that leaves you with a selection headache about who do you pick at right back. And if you want something more dynamic, one-on-one defending, George Tanner might be a better defender. But if you're aiming to have attacking fullbacks and have Pring on one side and McCrory on the other, possibly because of their directness. And we'll give opposing defences, and then you've got the two holding midfield players, possibly with one moving forward. I mean, lots of teams do seem to employ a 4-2-3-1. Most teams nowadays have a single striker, although that really changes. The 4-2-3-1 is really like a 4-2-4-3-3 or 4-1-4-3-1-2. It's fluid. It's fluid throughout the game. But yeah, I think that's the only selection headache you'd have, because you'd have to consider McCrory for Tanner in any future games. So that's not a bad selection headache to have. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to the other players coming back. I think Alan Gwinnell may have asked about, Colin Millward's been asking about Scott Twine. I don't think Twine will be available for the Middlesbrough game. I don't know if anybody else has heard, possibly.
Ian's just tweeted or put on the text feed in response to one of the questions. He reckons Twine will be back for Southampton. So hopefully.
So that's good. I mean, he's the missing link, isn't he? He's the man. We'll look to playing behind the strikers to make things happen and could weigh in with goals. Because boy, do we need a goal scorer right now.
Well, and all these players coming back, I can't necessarily see how it is going to solve the goal scoring problem. Because we've got high hopes of Mabude if he comes back, but he's not proven anything like Championship level there. But They're all coming back. And I've always been somebody who said, how can you rush somebody straight back in without playing reserve games? But I think, a game at under 21 and then giving them half an hour, again, that comes back to squad depth, because, look at what happened last night. Andy King played great for an hour. You're able to bring Matty James on. Roberts, he did well for an hour. Now he's just not got enough match practice, but getting players back, I hope, I'd like to share Ian's optimism that we might see Rob Atkinson on the bench, if not Saturday, then Tuesday, and if not Tuesday, definitely the following Saturday.
You've got with an ACL, you've got to take these things very carefully, and the club will be concerned about risks. So they'll put him through an under 21 game and see how it reacts to that. Okay. I mean, he had a setback a few months ago. Yeah. I mean, a guy's lost a year of his career, so they'll be wrapping him up in cotton wool, because any further problems will. I mean, you've got to look at poor Eamon. He's had 2 ACLs. These things can go very easily. The knee's got to be right, and we want the guy to have a career, not just play for Bristol City. It's his job.
Okay, let's get into the action. And I say I've only seen the highlights, as all three of us have. One thing that caught me early on was great save by Max from Gibbs White. Nuno showing some. I think he made 8 changes from the side that played at the weekend. I think they got a draw at Bournemouth, but Gibbs White tested Max early on. But Ian, the goal, I've only seen it from one camera angle, so I guess you're the same. Could it have been better defended? Was there the handball or the unintentional off the arm from Origi? And we had VAR. I don't think VAR was used at all last night, was it? Or was it? I don't know.
It was, yeah. Sorry,
Ian, you carry on.
I mean, could it have been better defended? Yeah, it was a pretty average corner to the near post. It wasn't like it was a superbly worked move. And yes, it looked to me like it brushed his arm before or more than brushed his arm. It hit his arm before and deflected into the net, leaving Max wrong-footed. So he immediately appealed for handball. So did everybody else. With the goals that I've seen overturned for handball by VAR this season, where a guy's running through, the goalkeeper comes out, challenges him. The goalkeeper hits the ball with his knee. It goes up and hits the bloke on the top, on his arm or there, and it's quite inadvertent. But once again, it does. You can see why people get frustrated with it, because there seems to be, it's this old thing that referees have always been cursed with, and that's interpretation. And whereas one VAR will give it, perhaps another one won't. So I can understand the frustration, but yeah, I mean, both things. It was a pretty ordinary corner. I mean, decent jump in a header, but I mean, Max had the header covered. Apart from it hitting Origi's arm, was it Origi's arm and went in?
Yeah, it was interesting on that little clip. You probably saw it, but when they're walking back to the centre circle after the goal, I think one of the Forest players is almost pointing to his arm, saying it hit me up here and it was unintentional. Have a look at that again. Anybody even if you're at the game, you probably wouldn't have spotted that. But have a look at that on the 4-minute clip. There's conversation going on there. Mark, your turn on the goal.
If it hits the arm in the act of a goal being scored, it should be disallowed, and the ball must change direction, because Max has got it covered. It's flicked on from the corner in the 18-yard box across the defenders, but Max would save it if it didn't hit his arm. So where are the cameras? We've only got the benefit of one angle. VAR must have been looking at behind the goal, but it comes back to that rule. If it's if it hits the arm in the act of the act of a goal being scored, it should be disallowed. But one thing it did do, City started off really slowly. They were pinned down by Forest. It really woke them up and contributed to the impact they had on the first half after that. So I think it did help City somewhat to get into the game, but it should have been disallowed.
Yeah, and that maybe riled them up a little bit. And I'll stick with you on the goal, our goal, Mark, and then come to you on it as well, Ian. But Hayden Roberts sort of set the ball in motion on the left side when he pushed it across to King. And I mean, it's vintage year. He's in his twilight years, King. But take us through the goal as you saw. It was cracking save. Good shot, good save. Yeah, you Mark, and then I'll get Ian to talk in detail.
Yeah, he strides up to the penalty area. He's about 20, 25 yards out and strikes the ball to the right of the goal. Turner tips it onto the right post. It goes back across the goal, hits the left post, and then I don't know which City player takes it on the byline, knocks it back into the six. Pardon?
Sam Bell.
It was Sam Bell. Stops it from going out and then knocks it back into the 6-yard box. And Jason Knight is steaming in and hits it into the back of the net. A bit of a similar finish to the one he got against Norwich, and we really need to see him. That's where you want your midfielders steaming into the area to fox in the box to take chances like that. So we got our just rewards, but yeah, it would have been a cracking goal, but a brilliant save by Turner to turn it onto the post. And I think he thought it was chance gone because it hit the other post, but City kept it alive.
You see, I haven't noticed it hitting 2 posts. Still,
hit 2 posts, but he made a brilliant save to turn it onto the post because he gets a lot of pelters. I think Matt Turner about some of his other play. The fact that he's got caught in possession. He's conceded a few goals from sloppy kicking out. It's not like our goalkeeper's ever had that problem, but yeah, he gets pelters from the Forest fans. Yeah. But yeah, unlucky with that. But there you go, tough.
Yeah, Ian, great for City to come back so quickly. Because when you're going 1-0 down after 8 minutes on the back of a poor performance against Leeds, you're thinking, here we go, we're going to get a gub in here. But we reacted in a positive way, and it was a cracking goal in every respect. The build up to it and the determination by Sam, well worthy to get back at that time, weren't we?
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, it made another decision. I don't think I can ever listen to Ed and Gary doing the commentary on Radio Bristol again because it's just too stressful. Because it's gone in, it's gone in. No, it hasn't. No, it hasn't. It hasn't gone in. Oh, he's pulled it back. It's Knight. He scored. It's in the back of the net. You think, okay, we have actually scored now, and that happened at least 4 times. Yeah. And it goes in. I think, well, he's in front of the goal. Oh, how did he miss this? A goal? No, it's not. Well, he's oh dear God in heaven. At least if you've got a camera, you can start jumping up and down yourself, or you can see what's driven that.
I was seeing the comments like that on the forum and on Twitter, and
just like I said, they're right into it. I think Radio Nottinghamshire have it on 5 Live Sports Extra. So you got the Radio Nottinghamshire feed, and apparently they were a lot calmer. But we're looking at it through the eyes of a commentator and an ex-player and a City fan who are really into it. They want the best for their team, and it just comes out like that natural bias. It's a great thing in some respects, but yeah, if you're a fan, it wasn't great because you thought we scored about 3 goals.
Chris, our oft on here contributor Chris Honours on the text feed as well. And Chris, I don't know how excited you'd have got last night if you'd have been doing that commentary. Interesting. I saw somebody put a clip up of the Nottingham Forest away League Cup semi-final in 1989, and I noticed you lurking around there, Chris, with the number 2 on your back, looking a lot younger than you look now. But it was 35 years ago.
They were commenting on Radio Bristol about his shorts, weren't they? Did you hear that?
The shorts were still up by people's necks back in those days. But well, there you go. But no, Chris is just.
Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't get a hernia in those days.
Text comment: goals win games. Didn't have a striker the season of the League Cup run. Bought Super Bob, and hey presto, Super Bob hat trick on his debut against Huddersfield Town, if I recall correctly, a 6-1 win. There we go. Ian, after the goal, we enjoyed, by all accounts, from what I've read, we enjoyed a very good end to the first half, and indeed the start of the second. And you've probably seen on the clips, good shot from Tommy, good shot from Mehmeti, save. They're not missed chances, but you want to be seeing more of that. And when you look at it statistically, Ian, 15 shots, 8 on target, crumbs. Back in 12 months ago, we weren't even registering double figures in shots in the game, were we?
And in fairness, against Leeds, I don't think we had a shot. Did we have one shot on target? Didn't we? It was Mehmeti.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, everything's there, but sticking the ball in the net. And I know that sounds a fairly obvious thing to say, but it is the most difficult thing in the game, which is why strikers that if you look at Gyökeres, had a couple of good seasons for Coventry, and he goes off to Portugal for 22 million.
Yeah.
So,
and he's still doing it over there, Ian. I think he's got 14 goals and 10 assists, something like that, 2/3 of the way through the season. And Coventry are going to get a whacking big, if he goes to one of the big European clubs for 40 million quid, Coventry are going to land another 10 million quid there.
Yeah, and this is why if I was, going away from the game for a second, if I was Tommy's agent or even his dad, it's funny when you can say that, and it's absolutely possible that he could be. In fact, he could be my grandson. But what I would say if I was advising him, I'd say sign the contract, get a sensible buyout clause, and stay where you are. Because my fear with Tommy is if he did go to a Premier League club, he would then either get loaned out somewhere, probably in the Championship, and become more of the development squad. I mean, if you look at him and you look at the clubs near the bottom of the Premier League, and with all respect to him, he's not going to get in a top 6, top 8 team. You'd be thinking, well, is he going to get in Luton's side? Would he be a starter for Burnley? And now you've got and you've now got a situation. I mean, Sheffield United got some good strikers, but it is another level. And with these possible points deductions, I'll say, because to be clear, Everton's appeal gets heard this week on the 10 points they've already been deducted. Next week, they're another tribunal where they might lose another 10.
Yeah.
Now, Forest are in this week as well, and it's likely they'll lose 10. Now, Burnley, Luton, and Sheffield United must be doing backflips around their boardroom, because they must be thinking, well, if they keep on getting these deductions, we'll stay up by default.
Yeah.
So I'd be very careful with a move, and that's why I'd be advising him. Now, by the same token, he's then got an agent who he'll listen to a lot more than he'll listen to me, in his ear, saying, well, I can get you a lot more. And
get himself some more to boot, of course.
and his best mate saying, well, I'm earning 10 to 12 times as much as I was at City. So you can see two people. I mean,
you can see why he
on his shoulder. That one's in this ear and one's in the other ear, telling him. But at the end of the day, he's young, and I know young people don't think like that. And I know all this stuff about it's a short career. But I would be saying to him, okay, then sign the contract, get a lot more than you're on now, because City have offered him a lot more than he's on now.
Yeah.
So do that. There's a buyout clause in it, and we'll make it something sensible. Because his agent is just saying,
what's something sensible in your book then, Ian?
To me, it depends how he does between now and the end of the season, Dave.
Yeah.
If he gets another 8 to 10 goals between now and the end of the season, then all of a sudden his value starts to rise significantly. So I would say a buyout clause minimum you'd put in. If he wants bigger money, you'd say, right, well, we want 15 million to start with. If he gets those goals. If he doesn't get the goals and he's only on, he finishes up on where he is now, or say he gets 3 or 4 more, right? You'd think, well, hang on a minute. And it comes down to the same argument as the other players out of contract. You say to them, you look at them, you think, can I get a better player than him for about the money I can sell him for, or a bit less? Would that player command less wages than he wants? And the same thing applies to people like Joe Williams. It's all right. People say, well,
Joe Williams. Sorry to interrupt the end, because I need to move on. Joe Williams, case in point, he's put in over the last 2 months performances performances worthy of being offered a contract, but then he might already have his agent working on a move somewhere else, and the better he plays, he'll leave anyway for more money. But anyway, let me stop you there.
No, it could be, but then again, like you just said, it depends. Does he want to sign a new contract?
Well, does he want to sign
a
new contract for Bristol City? I don't know. Let's move on with the game.
Yeah, that's the question.
Mark, we made substitutions on the hour. I think Ian said to me offline before we started, probably premeditated. 3 on the hour. I think it was Cornick coming on for Knight, James for King, Tanner for Roberts. I guess that's when Sam went to left wing back. We seemed to alter our momentum a bit. They brought on some big guns as well. But it was really in that second period of extra time, Mark, where we had some glorious chances, didn't we? Let's take us through that one that Naki got his feet in a tangle, didn't he?
Oh yeah, don't remind me. I'm still having nightmares looking at that. I've only looked at it 20 times. It's not so, Mehmeti plays the ball to play. Just plays a pass to Joe Williams. He's on the left position, about 5 yards from on the left side of the Forest penalty area. He's got 4 Forest defenders behind the ball, and he threads the ball through brilliantly to Sam Bell, who's making a blindside run. Bell's on the byline, hits it across the box hard. Now, Wells is running from the penalty spot into the middle of the goal and he's been marked by Nuno Tavares, who's on loan from Arsenal. Wells' weight goes back on the ball. He's got no control over the ball. So instead of hitting it with his left, I don't know if he can hit the ball with his left foot or his right foot. It seems to strike the ball between both feet, and the momentum takes the ball up in the air, and it bobbles around, comes back out with a goal, and Matt Turner dives on the ball. Yeah. Jamie Knight, the Bells, to the right of the penalty area on the 6-yard line, only enters the fray really when Turner's recovered the ball. But Wells just doesn't have control of the ball at all. I don't know if his weight could go forward and he could fall into the net, but really I think Tavares, it's a good piece of defensive play because he stops him from getting any contact.
I mean,
it's a missed chance in that he was goal side. I mean, he could have thrown himself at the ball. I mean, in days gone by, you see those old clips, Garland, Jordan. Because I mean, you just see those 6-yard boxes that look like ploughed fields, and players would skid on their back and just take the ball, go into the back of the net. Wells doesn't do any of that. He's almost upright until the ball's gone, and then he falls into the back of the net. But he's goal side. He just can't get any full contact on the ball, and Tavares stops him from doing it. I mean, it's in one hand, it's a good bit of defensive play, but he should get his foot round the ball. I just don't know what he's thinking.
Ian, do you think? I mean, should he have been braver there? Did he put enough effort, or as Mark said, was he falling back? His body position looked all wrong to me, and it was a great build up to it, wasn't it?
It was an excellent build up. Good pass by Joe Williams. Good cross by Sam, who, lest we forget, has been played out of position quite a few times and isn't naturally left-footed. But great left-footed cross. I've got no idea. You'd have to ask Naki what he was trying to do, because he seemed to overrun it, fall over it at the same time, and then the ball went through his legs. So you'd have to sit Naki in a chair and say, "Do you want to talk us through that?" Because I honestly, I heard it described, because it was another one of those where Gary and Ed decided to give us all a heart attack. You are going to score. What's happening? So I don't know. I've seen it on the highlights clip. I've looked at it 3 times, and I cannot work out. I think if I had to nail my colours to the mast, I'd say he slightly overran it, which seems almost impossible that close to the goal line. But
That would be my take.
he seemed to get past the ball and then not be able to hook his leg round, so it sort of hit the inside of his foot and went over the line. It was a really strange one.
Yeah, Mark, and we had two, well, are they chances? Should we done better? Matty James put a powerful shot over the top, but at least he got the shot away. But
yeah, it's a recycled corner. Tanner headed it back into the area. It bounced up for James. And if he just keeps his head down, it's on target. It's in. But again, it's one of those, and Ed and Gary again, oh, he's missed it. It was just like that,
Mark,
actually.
what about after that, when Naki, burst past, stumbled past their centre half, and then broke away?
Yeah, I think it was Philippe who was giving him pelters all game.
Harry Cornick, hero or zero. Well, sadly, it was
Cinders,
zero,
Cinderella, late for the ball again. Yeah, I mean, the stupid thing is he looks like he's going to get to the ball, but he hasn't got it under control. It was similar to the Preston move last season, where Alex Scott played himself out of trouble. There wasn't the skill that side, but it was played to the right, and Wells does really well to get past Felipe, who I think was a little shit all game, kicking him, I think, all over the place, and Wells didn't get anything out of him. Goes down the right and plays it across the ball, and you just want that ball to be caressed in the back of the net. But Cornick, again, he's got a defender next to him. He's goal side. He just needs to get a good contact. But he's outstretched. He's actually on his back, and he stretches out to the ball, and it goes over the bar.
And it curls over the top, But Ian, then Cornick, hero to zero to hero, in the sense that he was the first to step up and take a penalty kick for us, which he finished with aplomb. Did we start the pens, or did they start the pens?
They did.
They did.
Yeah. So let's talk about the pens, Ian, as you saw them. I mean, he tucked that one away. Forest didn't miss any of theirs, but what was your take on the pens? And should other players have stepped up? There were more experienced players available, who could have taken the spot kicks. Was it right that Sam Bell should take the second one, which he missed?
Well, they probably looked at it in training, and they may have had some kind of, I don't know, penalty competition. But a lot of the time with penalties, it's who feels confident. And it's all right saying, well, I used to take them, I felt confident. Yeah, but there's taking them in the Downs League or the District League, and there's taking them in front of 27,000 people. It's a bit different. A little bit like when we've had players in the past miss it Wembley and miss penalties in key games. You're looking Walsall in the playoffs. The Gordon Owen moment.
Gordon Owen.
It's one of those. It's one of those things. Who feels confident? I don't like really short run-ups, but you've got to think who'd gone off the field. I mean, Tommy would have definitely taken one.
Yeah.
Jason Knight would probably have taken another one. So there's two. Add two to the three that scored, and it's that if you're anti, but we had to make the changes we did with an eye to Saturday. They did exactly the same because they've got a massive game against Newcastle, and they've got a pile of injured players. For them as well as us, the relief comes that their new signings, which strangely enough includes a goalkeeper, after Turner's heroics last night, but perhaps he'll play in the cup and Sales will play in the league. But they've got three players back. Chris Woods has done his hamstring and he's out, might even be out for the season.
And that's a big one of ours.
Well, if you look around the leagues, Dave, it isn't just us with this ongoing injury problem. And before I forget to mention it, one interesting thing I saw this week: City are advertising for another fitness and conditioning coach, and I'm wondering if they're going to promote somebody from within, because they haven't yet employed a Dave Rennie replacement. So whether they promote somebody from within, and I don't know this, I'm just putting it forward as it might happen, whether because sometimes you promote somebody and then you backfill. So you say, well, we'll make him managing director, the guy is sales director, managing director. So we needed to bring in a sales director to backfill. Similar type of thing. I noticed they were advertising for that senior type of role. So it would be interesting to see what happens there. And obviously, as well as anything else, if you do something like that, there is often a money saving.
Of course. Yeah, because using your practical business example, you make your sales director MD, and then you can go out and get a head of sales and probably save yourself 25 grand. And I'm speaking on personal experience here. Okay,
yeah.
Let's move on, because as I say, we can't be as in depth as we would normally be, because we've seen a limited amount of the action. I want to make 2 comments. First of all, I gave the ball boys some sticks. Somebody picked me up on it for them not picking the ball up and throwing it to us and throwing a sense of urgency. Apparently, the EFL ruling is that all the ball boys, girls, or whatever are supposed to do is to place a loose ball on the plinths, which I think there are 6 or 8 plinths around the ground where the ball is resting. So when they're sat there on their butts doing nothing and we're wanting them to pick them up when we're chasing the game, that's not their job. When the loose ball goes, there should always be a ball on the plinth for the player to pick up, which could mean him walking 25 or 30 yards to do that. Got to put a word in as well for the under-18s last night, who won 3-0 against Burnley, and now play Swindon in the quarter-final of the FA Youth Cup. Under-18s, a goal there for Hewlett, a penalty. I think that's Matt Hewlett's son. And then Morrison grabbed a couple. I think that's Elijah Morrison, who has made the first team squad one day. He's not got any minutes on the pitch or anything like that. But onward to Borough. Mark, we were talking offline. It's a tough week, isn't it? Because, they've played 120 minutes. They came back from Nottingham on a coach last night. They probably got to bed 3 o'clock this morning, something like that. They got a rest day today. We don't know what their travel arrangements are, but if it features an aeroplane, it's going to help. But it's not an ideal preparation for a game against an inconsistent Borough, but a game where we really need to get our season back on track, which means a league win in 2024, doesn't it, Mark?
Yeah, anything that that reduces the travel time is going to be a help for players like that. And there, I think Manning's alluded to this, and I suppose we some fans take it for granted that there's full training sessions throughout the week. There aren't. He won't get the opportunity to do that when you get games, you get midweek games. So they'll get very little to do, very little on pitch preparation. It's going to be more down to conditioning and short drills, I'd imagine. There's not a lot they can do, but with the players we've got coming back with Cam Pring and Taylor Gardner-Hickman, I think that gives us reason for optimism. Mabude, I'd imagine he'd be on the bench for Saturday, having only played 3 times for KBC Westerlo this season. Might come on maybe after 60 minutes or so, depending on the state of the game. And they say they're very excited about him. Let's hope that excitement pays off. But I think we can get 3 points. But it's again, he's scoring more than 1 goal in games. And what's quite strange is that we haven't won a game since Watford, when we won that game 4-1 in our best performance of the season. Ticked all the boxes, got the goals, and it was like, rather than the end of the beginning, it's like the beginning of the end, isn't it? It's a really strange thing that we haven't won since. So we just got to start We just got to start taking our chances. We've been banging on about it, on and on and on every week about the same thing, but it's as simple as that. If we score more than 1 goal, we got a good chance of winning that game. Let's do it.
Ian, Borough are a little bit inconsistent, but the goal scoring, which everybody says is a problem, and it's interesting if you take the Plymouth at home game and then Middlesbrough, Watford and Hull, which I think adds up to how many goals is that? 10 or 11? Something like that. I did the calculation the other day. In 3 games I took out. In 27 games, we've only managed to score about 23 goals, I think, if you take those 4 games out. That is the problem. But Borough, do you think they'll be licking the lips at the prospect of playing us, knowing that They haven't had a game themselves in midweek, and we've got a lot of travelling involved as well. Taking on board your earlier point, Ian, that we have got players to come back and players who did have limited minutes last night.
I mean, playing 120 minutes as a collective hasn't done us any good. Let me be the first one to say that. But at least we're in a position where we can freshen up for Borough, even more possibly for Southampton, particularly on the bench, and hopefully completely better for QPR. So, there is some grounds for optimism, but that's the way the dice has fallen. We've had the cup run. We've been watched by about 122,000 people. If you take 45% of that, even at a tenner each, that's an awful lot of money, plus all the commercials and all the bits and pieces, and the prize money we got for beating West Ham, which was 100 grand, and the TV money, which was 42. So that's all for a club in our position. That's a lot better than a kick up the backside. And it'd be nice if the club would confirm the kind of income that we've had from it, because it has been well worth having. Would it have been nice to have a game against Man United? Yes. But at least now we can completely focus on the league. And with having more a large squad, in the sense of having those injured players back, providing, please God, they stay fit and everybody else does, it will give us an opportunity to see exactly how strong the squad is, and it will give Liam Manning a good chance to think, well, what do I really need in the summer? We know we're going to get a striker, a mobile striker, and a number 10. That number 10 could be Scott Twine, depending how sensible Burnley are, because the deals we've got, that deal in particular, is a double-edged sword. Because if he does absolutely brilliant, then Burnley might want to keep him. Then it depends what the player wants to do. So you've got a lot of there's a lot of options there. But yeah, I mean, I don't think Borough be licking their lips. I think they'll be seeing us play against Forest and think they're in for a tough game. We've already beaten them once this season. So, let's go up there and play with confidence. And I think with City, a lot of it is getting the first goal. But then we've got to go on from that and score more goals, because when the WSM broke up, that was it in terms of us scoring goals. And you can follow City's decline in when that triumvirate was broken up, the goal scoring's gone like that, and you can follow it in a straight line. Now, all right, we're defensively better, but I'll tell you one thing before I forget to mention it. I'm really proud that we went up there and played football last night. We didn't go up and put 10 behind the ball and try and bore everybody to death and catch a goal on the break. We went up there and we gave as good as we got.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. I think very good point. And I think, reading a few little comments, I think the fans of Forest and West Ham have both commented that we played decent football. And that's the thing. This is where it's frustrating that, our league form does look indifferent, because we were all on a high after that game against Watford. And, I mean, to me now, and quick response from you, Mark, and then from you, Ian, as well, we need to wrap up. But to me now, this season, I'm looking for a points total, right, that is 4 or 5 better than what we had last year, looking at where we are now. And now that could mean top 10, but it might mean even staying still. I haven't looked at the league table to study that. But Mark, what does success look like to you, for you, between now and the end of the season? Very succinctly.
How many games have we got left? Is it 18?
16.
16. And we got 38 points. To beat last season's total, we need to get 60. So we need to win 7 of those last 16 games. Yeah, fans lots of fans will be comparing and say, look, we didn't do better than Pearson, so they'll want 60 points, which is going to be tough, but it's doable. We've got to start winning some games at home. to get 64 points, I mean that's 26 more points. That would take 8 or 9 wins from the last 16.
Well, you got to throw in a few draws there as well. But
I just want to. I'd love to see us get. Let's 60. You can't say success. You could say. You could say slow progress would be 60 points, top 10, top 12 finish, and to show the positivity, because I think Nadine said, do you think Liam Manning will get his promotion? I mean, who knows? We'll only know by how strongly we finish this season, and then the transfer window.
And who we sign in the summer,
the transfer window will determine it.
Ian,
simple as that.
What does success look like for you for the remainder of the season? You've been very much a cup half full person since Liam's been appointed. So, what does success look for? We got to get 22 points to equal last season's, Ian has just said. Is that achievable?
So what we got now, 38.
38.
First target for me, I think the last, I always say 50 points, but in fairness, 50 points would keep you up. But in the last, I think 4 or 5 seasons, I think it averages about 46. But anyway, let's get to that 50 points mark first. That's 12 more points. Then we know at that point it'd be very, very, very unlikely for us to get relegated. So let's put that. It's about results from now to the end of the season, but it's about the quality of performance as well. Some of our performances have been very good. Some have been really poor. We didn't play well against Leeds. We didn't play well against Millwall.
We didn't play well against Preston.
We didn't play well in the second half. We didn't play well against Preston. We didn't react quickly enough to their changes. So these are all lessons that Liam Manning's going to be learning. Lest we forget, he's still a young man. But so far, when we play well, it's better than I've seen us play for a long time. The example I'll give you is the second half away to West Ham, the first half against Nottingham Forest at home, the first half against Southampton away, where we should have been a goal or two up. So there have been plenty of those as well. So it's not a question of saying everything he does is great or everything. He's going to make mistakes. He hasn't got his own players, and I think I've always said you've got to give at least 2 windows to judge. We'll see. We know roughly what we're doing in the summer. So let's see who. I'm very interested to see who's here come the first game of the season in August, because I think it could be, I won't say radically different, but I think it could be notably different.
Yeah. Okay, let's end it there. Just a quick point on Ian, which we can develop. I mean, you said he hasn't got his own players. Yeah, he inherited a squad that was told that the existing manager wasn't getting enough out of them, and it was a top 6, top 10 squad. Yeah. The questions are going to be asked if we start falling short of, as Dave Fevs has said on the text feed, 60 points is underachieving. But we'll obviously develop that more. Mark, quick point from you. You put your hand up there.
I think the one thing we want to see in the remaining games is when we've got games like Preston that Manning's got the nous to make tactical changes to deal with the opposition. We seem to be playing the same way week in, week out, probably slight tweaks, but more or less the same way in terms of trying to play our way out of a hole. And we're not going to get played Leeds every week.
If we played like we did against West Ham, or if we play like we played against West Ham and Forest, Leeds being the exception, because I think they were bloody good.
Well, they pressed. Nobody's pressed.
We play like we did in those 4 games for the rest of the season, we'll go past that.
Yeah.
And that is, he changed the formation last night because he had to, right? But this is a very critical period on the board who've backed him, and if he does get his own players in, he's starting to do that. But then we've got people saying, "Oh, here we are back to square one again," and all the rest of it. I agree with Ian. I think the summer transfer window is going to be interesting. And I think Tommy won't be a player for Bristol City
Well,
next season.
he can take the deal. If he doesn't agree a deal, he's got to go. Simple as that.
Well, there you go. No, absolutely. Anyway, we will be recording. I think we said we'd do the Middlesbrough game at 6 o'clock on Saturday night. Is that right, chaps? Yeah, do the Middlesbrough game. Yeah, so we have a free Sunday morning. So they make the long trip up there to do that, and then the Southampton game, we'll do our review of that on Wednesday morning. But everybody who's tuned in, who's watched us live on YouTube and X, thanks a lot for all your comments. Sorry you're not being able to answer all of them. I know Ian has tried to get a bit of a running commentary going along there as well. Ian and Mark, thanks for your contribution. Everybody, have a good rest of the week, and we look forward to speaking with you again on Saturday evening. Cheers, everyone. All the best for now. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.